It's been a sad year for anime fans. So many classics are ending their stories. After the masterpiece Attack on Titan's finale aired last year, Demon Slayer's anime adaptation is also approaching its end. My Hero Academia's story just ended, and the Jujutsu Kaisen manga will now also conclude this month. The anime adaptations will still be around, but they may also end before One Piece finishes its Elbaf Arc. Will this be the end of the anime era? Now guys, let me point out that even though One Piece is still around, these three manga series also went on for a considerably long period of time. Demon Slayer went on for 5 to 6 years, My Hero Academia for 10 years, and Jujutsu Kaisen will be in its 7th year when it ends. Of course, it's still a stark contrast with the long-term storytelling we've grown up with. Naruto and Bleach were both around 700 chapters. One Piece has still got another half a decade before we see its final chapter. Though, when you think about it from a business point of view, it doesn't make sense for successful stories to just suddenly end after the climax, right? Modern-day shonen series like JJK are also extremely popular all over the world, and most of the fans do not want the story to end. They want to see more of the characters. They don't want plot lines being teased but then quickly forgotten. When it comes to manga, especially battle shonen, there's a certain air of familiarity with the characters. The fans have an emotional connection with the characters. Many of us grew up with them, so of course, we don't want to part ways. It's like saying goodbye to a real-life childhood friend. There's a reason why Dragon Ball and Naruto still have sequels going on. Fans can't help but want to see more of the characters. We don't want to close that chapter of our lives. Dragon Ball Daima is coming up next month, and you bet, not only is it going to be wildly successful, Dragon Ball fans are gonna have a blast. Naturally, if JJK, Demon Slayer, and My Hero Academia have continued on for another 100 or so chapters, they would have definitely been profitable. Heck, if the authors of either of these three announce a sequel in the next hour, a sizable majority of the fans will be livid. So, why did they just suddenly end? It's actually pretty simple. It's because the author has already shared the story they had in mind. When manga authors announce the final arc, you know that the story would conclude after that arc. But one thing that still doesn't make sense is the rushed endings. Why does the pacing always get so much worse at the end? We're only getting 3 chapters after Sukuna's defeat. And I can't believe we didn't even get any proper conclusion to the Midoriya and Ochako romance that's been teased for years. The flow of time in shonen is also a little weird as well. It's like everything happens in slow motion. How many months has it been since Itadori Yuji joined Jujutsu High? One Piece is also guilty of this. It's barely been a couple of months since the Straw Hats entered the New World and they're already an empire. Sure, there isn't anything wrong with everything happening all at once, but this is why you never underestimate the importance of time skips. They're the perfect opportunity to make the viewer feel the flow of time. My Hero Academia had a time skip, but that simply brought a new set of controversial takes, because considering the context of the time skip, it needed like 5 more chapters to flesh out the epilogue. Skip ahead 15 seconds if you haven't read its ending yet. Instead, we got one chapter where Midoriya is a moderately depressed teacher. We don't get any confirmation on whether or not Ochako and him have made any progress. Probably not. And then suddenly, Midoriya goes back to being a hero because his high school friends were actually saving up for a suit for him all this time. There's no proper transition, just all of this in one chapter. And right now, JJK fans are keeping their fingers crossed because these last 3 chapters could go any way, and it still won't be enough. Yes, this is why even though it makes sense for the story to end after the final arc, what doesn't make sense is why the last few chapters are always so rushed. Don't even get me started on the final few chapters of Demon Slayer. We didn't even get a proper conclusion to say goodbye to the characters after Muzan's battle. The last few Hashira backstories were super rushed, like Obanai's past being weaved in during the panels of a fight. It was such a good one too and deserved more. If it weren't for that one final chapter that they released after the ending, showing how all the characters were reincarnated and the extra details in the fanbooks, it would have been a disastrous end to a wildly successful series. But let me tell you that all of this has a pretty simple answer. The thing about manga magazines, especially Shonen Jump, is that when the author realizes that the end is coming, the author and the editor come together with some other staff to decide exactly how many more chapters it's going to take. But the problem with this is that it doesn't even matter how skilled an author is. They can never know exactly how many chapters anything is going to take. We've known that JJK will be ending this year since last year, but Gege Akutami most likely didn't know that the final battle against Sukuna was going to drag for this long. This isn't a problem in the middle stages of a manga, because the next arc won't have to be rushed. But when it comes to the final chapters, even if the final battle or incident takes like 5 more chapters than expected, it's gonna mess up the pacing of the ending. This sucks, and Shonen Jump should really start thinking of improving their model. Black Clover now only releases 2 chapters every 3 months because Yuki Tabata switched from Shonen Jump to Giga out of personal reasons. Giga is a quarterly publication that releases 4 times a year. Every chapter is about 40 to 60 pages long, so Yuki Tabata simply releases 2 20 pages long chapters to properly use the allotted number of pages. It works because he can still continue releasing the manga and cooking for the readers, but allows more freedom for the artist, which is the right way to go given so many manga artists have health issues. Because of the insane nature of this industry. Like, just look at Hunter x Hunter's author. Webtoon artists release their chapters online so they don't have any publication quota to meet. I believe we're going to see a rise of Japanese manga artists on Webtoon platforms soon. In fact, even Shonen Jump may eventually also adopt an additional model based on publishing chapters on the internet first. We've been getting so many manhwa adaptations that unless the Japanese anime industry also evolves with the times, they will start lagging behind. Now, another reason why new battle shonen are much shorter is because the trend is over. Take Hiro Mashima, the author of Fairy Tail, for example. The manga went on for over a decade, and the Fairy Tail 100-year quest has been ongoing since 2018. However, Eden Zero, the author's new story, has already ended even though it also started in 2018. With the rise of seasonal anime, the trend has shifted to shorter and faster-paced storytelling. One Piece may sadly very well be the last of its kind. Who knows if our children will get to grow up alongside another 20+ years long story. Finally, if this is the end of yet another anime era, let's talk about the beginning of the new shonen era. Are there any shonen manga series that are going to receive the baton from My Hero Academia, JJK, and Demon Slayer? Nope. And this is funny. Manga like Dun Dun Dun, Sakamoto Days, Undead Unluck, Kaiju No. 8 are also closer to their end than to their beginning. By the time their manga concludes, the anime adaptations of JJK and My Hero Academia, heck, even Demon Slayer, may still be around. Masho started the same year as Sakamoto Days, and it's already been a year since it ended. Kagurabachi can also be considered a successor, but even that manga has already been around for a year at this point. There's also Akane Banashi, a manga that Eiichiro Oda himself recommended people to read. It's also been around for 2 years. Yep, you can't really call it passing the baton when the next story may very well end by the time your anime adaptation concludes. Times have truly changed. It's also ironic how stories like One Piece, Dragon Ball, and even JoJo's Bizarre Adventure are still around when up-and-coming legendary stories in the current generation are ending so quickly. Even Hunter x Hunter is still in publication when you think about it. Overall, what's happening now is an end of the era that started after Naruto and Bleach of the Big Three saw their conclusions in the 2010s. Now, it's not like Kagurabachi and the other shonen still ongoing cannot be considered the next era, but there may be some up-and-coming mangas that will rock the anime world. But we just gotta wait and see. I just hope that the last few chapters of JJK are Kino. Well, for now, let's enjoy our favorite anime shows while we can. My Hero Academia's story may have ended, but not the anime. Here are 13 Easter eggs you definitely missed in the latest season.